Welcome, my people. I'm back once again. Our government, I think one advisor, the economic advisor to our president, Mr. Fauswa, that is his name. He's advisor on economics matters to the federal government. He came to the national TV and was saying that Nigerians are doing well. In fact, our GDP is growing. That we have started reaping the dividends of the president. There's enough food. Nigerians are not hungry. The cost of living is okay. We just try to downplay all the crises, in terms of poverty and the likes. The Nigerians are not suffering. The cost of, you even mentioned about fuel, the price of fuel going up, coming down, tries to justify that the economy is doing well. And I like Seun on the Channels TV. The man actually, Seun actually, put him to where he actually belongs. Yes, put facts, to his face. That's exactly what Seun did. So I was trying to deny that, I won't blame him. Because he has to fight for his boss, defend his boss whichever way possible, even if the boss is doing the wrong thing, even if their economic plans or their economic trajectory are going the wrong way. He has to support him because he's his boss. I can understand that. Anyway, I would like you to listen to what him and Seun discussed.
And I think everybody in the space, in the economy space, who is an analyst and all of that, they've actually seen that Nigeria is going to do a whole lot better going forward. Of course, the worst is over for the economy and for people who have been hit by the downsides of it, especially the inflation that spiked in 2023, 2024. If you remember, and anyone can actually Google it as I'm speaking, inflation fell in 2025. In real terms, the prices of most staple food items fell. And in fact, many farmers complained throughout 2025 about the falling price of food. And some of them said, it's because of the importation of food. But of course, it's not every food item that was imported. So, of course, some food items like rice were imported, and maybe that could have served as a signaling to other food items. And, of course, food drives inflation in Nigeria. And so in 2025, inflation fell in Nigeria. The recent slight increase we have seen is as a result of the US-Iran war. And, of course, that has also subsided now. I mean, as we speak, just today, the fuel prices went down again. In the last 1 week, fuel prices have been going down. And the fuel prices is one of the key excuses that people latch on to increase prices in Nigeria, which is what we call inflation. And of course, I personally am of the opinion, and my own analysis and research, that a lot of the inflation that happened in Nigeria was actually just price gouging. People realizing that, okay, this is a seller's market. People spend most of their money on food, on a bit of rent or shelter, on transportation. Maybe they're boarding buses or taking taxis and so on. Between food, a little bit of shelter, some transportation, most of people's salaries is gone. whether in Nigeria or the rest of the world, but in Nigeria particularly. And so those people who sell in those axes, they see that there's that vulnerability and they take advantage of it. And of course, FCCPC, among others, they are working. The countries that we try to copy, like the US, every state has very strong price gouging laws. I remember in Hurricane Katrina, one chap that bought generating sets from Kentucky to offload on them in Louisiana because they had lights out and they needed generator, was arrested promptly and jailed. Even during the time of COVID, some Indian guys who went to America and they were purchasing little pharmaceutical items, including face masks and so on, and doubling the prices, they were arrested and jailed immediately. So we can't be more capitalist than they are. And
so,
I'm saying that most of the inflation that has happened in Nigeria is price gouging, and the ultimate defender of that price gouging should be the people themselves. People should not allow themselves to be taken advantage of. Many times, price increases in Nigeria when there's absolutely no reason for prices to increase. We in government, we will shout, FCCPC will do their job, but Nigerians must defend themselves against exploitation.
Let's ask the question that pains the most. Based on the promises this government made, and if you look at some of the promises side by side with the performance of this government, maybe the reality to this government will be more evident. For example, the president made categorical statement about electricity supply in this country. He said, look, if I cannot provide a 24-hour supply, do not vote for me. That's a categorical statement. But flip the page and look at other indices. This government has said that Nigerians should endure short-term pain for long-term gain. 3 years later, where would be the gain? Because the indices which is more indicating on the lives of the average person shows that they are poorer than they were before this government got into power. Is that perception wrong? No. Just a moment. If I may land on my question. Just a moment. The indices are showing that the purchasing power of the average person is lower. Food prices, you said they are gouging the prices. Food prices are higher for a lot of them in the commodities that they buy every day. And there are those who think that with the figure of poorer people in Nigeria, it shows a failure of the Tinubu government that have not been able to meet up its demand to Nigerians, economically speaking.
But I told you that in 2025, inflation went down. Food prices went down. Farmers complained.
After the adjustment by the rebasing
food prices
of the GDP.
went down in real terms. Farmers complained. I still have it on my phone, many of the complaints. Oh, you guys are importing food. In fact, some people say, oh, they want to damage the northern economy where the food comes from. Now food prices are ticking up a bit on the back of US-Iran war. Then there's also complaints. So you see, so the point is this, all of us, we live in the moment. And Nigerians live in the moment more than most people I know around the world. So we can't even remember what happened 6 months ago.
So Nigerians are to blame now.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Nigerians are to blame now, not your government.
We're not blaming Nigerians. We're saying that some of us are keeping the records. I'm telling you that food prices went down in 2025 across the board in real terms. Did you acknowledge then, every time in that 2025, you still came on your show and mentioned about how Nigerians are getting poorer, even though food prices were crashing.
And Nigerians getting poorer or not? Sir, you dwell on figures and facts, don't you? And data.
Exactly.
As an economist, you dwell on data.
You can
I'm going to put it for you.
Google it and see whether food prices did not crash in 2025. And alongside, inflation went down to 14% before now climbing to 15.9%. Okay, the same IMF report, it has it here, that they think that inflation will go to about 17% this year, and then it will go down to 14% next year. The IMF report is actually quite positive for Nigeria, almost across the board.
With a lot of warning.
Meaning that the macroeconomy is doing better. And the macroeconomy is what the micro sits on. There's no way you can have if you have a better microeconomy, where people are just having money to spend, maybe like used to be the case, and the macro is not fixed, you're living on
an illusion. That's why opposition says you're cooking the numbers. That's why the opposition says you're cooking the numbers.
The same opposition
so if you say that it sits on the micro, your macro is totally a departure on the micro.
No, you yourself, we have acknowledged, and even
that's the data available.
Even the so-called opposition, they acknowledge that the macro is doing better. Whether you're talking of foreign reserves, whether you're talking of the growth rate of the economy, we're up to 4%, 4.1%, and so on. Whether you're talking about all those issues that are the mega structure upon which the micro sits. the micro will do better when it's sitting on a good macroeconomy, because that's when whatever comes into people's pocket can go far for them and they can see the reality.
Dr. Foswell, my question fundamentally is that this government promised a short-term pain.
Exactly.
For a long time.
And so
but the pain is still there.
No, excuse me. No,
when are we turning the corner? When is the curve really going to be positive?
Okay, so short-term pain 2020, 2024.
The curve has been negative.
2023, 2024 was the real pain for this country. That was when inflation went up to 34.8%. That was where the prices of some food items went up 100%, or even some 200%. 2025 was the year we started to actually see the gains, when the food prices started going down, and alongside, other prices also started going down. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, the basket of goods that the MBS measure, most of the prices started going down. Because like I keep saying, inflation cannot go up forever. The key impact on the people is actually inflation, the value of money. And when we want to talk about maybe the value of the naira that used to be at, maybe about 800 naira when this government took over, vis-a-vis now when it's about 1,380. So the point there is it has caused some behavioral changes whereby you are seeing that some new sectors have actually emerged in the economy that are doing great, and people are getting involved in those sectors. For example, we look at what has happened with petroleum. Now, today, Nigeria is a net exporter of refined products. I mean, for more than 60 years, 70 years that we've been producing crude oil, we were always just selling out crude oil. Now, we're actually sometimes even a net importer of crude oil in that sector. Even schools have started to move to Nigeria, foreign schools and hospitals moving to Nigeria, because, of course, Nigerians are not traveling as much as they used to go and resume in schools abroad, or the so-called Japa phenomenon. Now we're looking at our own economy, and we're looking at what we can actually do with our own currency. And that means that small companies are growing in Nigeria. A lot of people are providing services that never used to be in Nigeria. And I think that's it. People are even traveling to Nigeria from abroad for things like IVF, for things like their dental, even many kind of health needs. People are traveling from abroad to Nigeria to get their health sorted out.
So I'm asking,
and I think that's
as a government official,
that is how to build a country.
You advise this government. You were from the private sector. Right. You know what it means when you go to the market. A lot of people are cutting back on how much they spend on food, cutting back on how much they spend on healthcare. Just remember, sir, on healthcare. Just remember, sir, if I may land on the question, just remember, because I'm asking a question. Just remember, if you allow me to put the question, sir,
actually,
I'm asking a question.
People, you have to be specific.
There are people who are cutting back because of it's irrational thinking. When you have less of your people, more of your people who have gone into poverty, people who are complaining that they cannot purchasing power have reduced. It's just commonsensical that people spend less on the basic things of life.
It depends. See, before I will accept your statement, which is a regular statement you make, and not only you, some of your colleagues as well. It's a very popular statement.
The economic indicators. This is not a popularity contest.
That is what I would.
I wish you could go to Igboro Kodu. In the thick of the communities there. Go to Kurudu here in Abuja. Let me take you to Pakata in Ilori in Kwara State. Yeah. Let me take you to very, very remote areas in this country and try and dare to tell them that their lives are better. And you probably will get the reference. But let me empirical. You are looking for empirical facts, but I will put your own figures of this government to you, sir, so that you can be able to make sense of it.
When food prices,
I want the producers to put up the indicators, sir, so that we can talk on facts and data.
Yeah, can I speak now? So, when food prices and commodity prices went up in 2023, 2024, with food prices going up to some of food prices going up almost 100%, 200%. Who made the money?
Which was reported, yeah.
Who made the money? Is it not the same Nigerians? Is it not farmers who made the money? Did you know then, did we acknowledge then that farmers made money in 2020, 2024? We did. Including those who...
When there's a turn.
No, you did not.
And I'll send you. But would you apologize if I send you the evidence?
Go ahead.
I'll show you the evidence.
I have no problem doing that. In 2023...
We are not the kind of people who just say negative.
Let me land.
When it's positive, we say it.
Let me land. When prices went up in 2023, 2024 of food, farmers made the money. Traders made the money. Importers made the money. They are Nigerians. Okay? People complain about the price of shelter going up in terms of rents. Who is making the money? Who is making the money? Nigerian landlords making the money right now as we speak. So call it a 50-50. If prices goes up, if shelter goes up, Nigerian landlords make the money, they pocket the money. When food prices go up, yam sellers and what have you, farmers make the money in this country. So it doesn't actually conform with research methods and what have you, for you to just say, oh, people are complaining in that place. Those same farmers, I have videos in my phone of when the prices of cocoa went up × 3 in this country and internationally. When Nigeria moved from making $600 million in cocoa to making $2.3 billion in 2024, Nigerians made the money. And in many villages, in those states, in Ekiti State and all of that, where I'm from, okay, we saw people buying new cars, rebuilding their houses and so on. But you see, it depends on what you want to hear. If you want to keep purchasing those exceptions where, oh, people are suffering, it's very easy. The easiest thing to say is that people are suffering. Now, we're not saying that people are not suffering. We're not saying that every policy, okay, will pan out well for everybody in the country. There's no policy that works for everybody. But I'm saying that the fundamentals are doing better. The macro is what the micro will sit on. And of course, the global economy itself is changing, okay, in very serious ways. People are getting laid off. AI is getting more efficient. But it's on the basis of that macro that the micro will sit on in this country. And we're beginning to see that work in this country. So please, it is fallacious to say everybody is suffering in the country, people are falling dead on the road. And of course, many of the people who say these things, I mean, we've been having some controversies last week and all of that. We say, oh, the first lady goes out to give 50,000 to people, and she says, you know what, you can start small business today. People take her to the cleaners and say, how can she be telling them to fry akara? Luckily, the president took it with equanimity, But you say, oh, why can't she be giving them money to fry akara? As if some of us weren't raised on those same kind of akara money. And for those who are really down and out on their luck, 50,000 is a lot of money. But the people who are criticizing that same policy, when last did you see them give 1,000 naira to anybody? Openly, even film yourself, video yourself and say, oh, this is the corner where I see so many Nigerians suffering in this place, this community. When I got here, people were holding their belly, they've not eaten for days. Please, I'm giving them 5,000 naira. So you will criticize those who are actually trying to solve the problem. The thing to do with people who are really, really suffering and passing through hunger is to give them, either you're giving them cash or you're giving them food.
Dr. Fasua,
and that's what the government is doing.
Nobody will
we're facing that solution right now.
Except if your government has come to sell ice cream. That's the only time you can be happy. Your government will be uncomfortable as long as the things that you promise will make you uncomfortable as long as the things that you promised are not working. On the micro, you didn't put it in our mouth when we say the macroeconomic side are looking good.
The macroeconomic is looking good because we are delivering on that macro.
Because we also put you under pressure to do your work. You made the promise as a government. We put you on your...
Not necessarily,
the economy was down and out.
A responsible government comes
2 months after this government came into power, the economy was in tatters.
A responsible government comes and makes promises on the macro and the micro. The micro are the more long-term and more difficult ones to do. A responsible government understands that if you don't fix the macro, the micro will not be fixed at this point. No, listen, some of these...
I've asked you one question that you're not able to answer tonight. I've asked you that curve. You have not been able... You are dodging, and you're using big English. Nigerians are watching you tonight. And one question they want to know. You advise this government about the economic policies. Right. The question is, the promises you make, you say that there is going to be short-term pain. When will the gain start emerging?
Did I not answer you, except you're not listening.
I'm listening to you.
What you have to
it's 3 years plus.
If you bring people here, you have to listen to them.
I'm asking you, but you thought you have answered. Listen, when we are listening to you, I've not categorically. Can you say categorically? When should we start seeing the green curve?
Excuse me, please. As you said, the government made promises. I told you that in 2023, 2024 were the years of sacrifice.
Yeah, the one that are harder. You're not hearing the softer one. Take a look at this one.
And inflation is going to take
I've helped your government to do a breakdown, a comparison. So maybe you can see some of the positives.
That's it.
So, I mean, I've done a breakdown of the key indicators of the economy, which are mostly macroeconomic indicators. Inflation rate. This is what it was in 2022, just before the end of a year before the end of Buhari's government. In 2023, this was what it looked like. You see the unemployment rate, public debt, official exchange rate, foreign reserve, GDP growth rate. This is your scorecard. How would you score yourself with this?
Oh, this is at least 60%, right?
Are you happy now?
No, I'm very happy now because you can see.
But this didn't come from you.
Inflation
This didn't come from you.
No, you did it.
Yeah.
But that's what we're saying. So if you have this kind of thing, how come you're pulling out defeat from the jaws of victory? You're pulling out defeat from the jaws of victory.
I will tell you the ones that are not. And I started my conversation about the macroeconomic theory, which are not aligned with the micro.
And if this is your first time on my channel, please subscribe, like, press that notification button for more information. Thank you.